Yes, what's going on, producer friends? In today's video, I'm going to be breaking down all of the synth sounds in my track Anxiety off the Anxiety EP from Space Yacht Records. If you haven't heard it yet, this is what it sounds like. Going to be going over that main bass sound, how I layered all those sounds up, all the little sounds in between, the sub, all of those typical synth things. But before we get into it, make sure you hit like, subscribe, all the normal YouTuber things. It really does help me out and lets me know that, you guys are watching. I post a lot of production content here, my original tracks, track breakdowns like this, DJ mixes when I get a chance to record them and stuff like that. So if you want to stay up to date on everything when you know, definitely subscribe. But with that being said, let's go ahead and hop into the track. All right, so here we are in the project file. You can see usually I have an effects group, like an instrument group that I put my sidechain on, and then like a drum group. So we're gonna go ahead and open this instrument group. And the first thing we have is this dun 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 dun, this little like bell kind of thing. And what this was is actually I recorded my MS-20 one day. I recorded a bunch of patterns with that in a sequencer and ran them through some guitar pedals, like some distortion and stuff that I have. So I actually got this loop out of it. It's just madness, and I would just like destroy it and all this stuff. So that's kind of how that came about. I pretty much came up with the bass noises and stuff first in this, and then dropped that in later for an intro idea. So you can hear here that I'm not doing too much to it, just some echo and filtering. And obviously I slowed it down as well. And a little bit of OTT to bring out the that top end, because it has a lot of like hiss to it, but I liked that, so I wanted to really bring that out. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, this is basically just like a reverb kind of layer that fits behind it. So that's pretty interesting. But let's go ahead and hop into the drop sounds. So the main bass that you hear is actually two serum patches working together, and it's this right here. So the first thing that's going on is this patch, which is super basic. It's literally just a saw and this LFO that I believe all it's doing is messing with some effects. So you can see it's routed to these EQ, this peak, and this notch. And then also looks like it's routed to the filter cutoff inside of the distortion unit inside of Serum. So these, like, using one peak and one notch like this is a way to kind of like achieve some of that vowelliness. The phaser is also helping too, but I have the rate set all the way to 0, so that's also creating some of that vowel because it's not moving around. And then with the delay, it's doing just the tiniest little bit of making it, a little wider. And then I'm using the OTT, of course, in Serum on it. This sound gets OTT'd a bunch of times because I wanted it to be super bright. And then you can see here, because it's OTT'd, it brings up so many harmonics, and not all of those are things that you want to keep necessarily. So I carved out a lot of that stuff, and then added a compressor to squash it back down a little bit. And here, this chain is just dry, and this just has a little bit of reverb and some auto pan on it. So you can see it's like not doing anything too crazy, actually. This one, however, is going to be our more stereo one. So this layer right here is pretty mono, a little bit. This one is going to be a little bit wider, and you can see this one includes the actual like top line here. So that's also a little change in the MIDI that I made, but you can see here that it's also another pretty basic patch using 3 oscillators. One of them is detuned, but just saw waves, and the same exact effects processing and everything. I think I just have some hyper on it, and I think I might have a little bit more distortion on it as well. But that's pretty much it for... Oh, and then I'm clipping it and EQing it and doing the same reverb and things like that. But really, I think where the like magic of this sound comes together is on the group processing. So now they're both getting processed with an OTT that's only at 19%. A little bit of the stock overdrive, a little bit of reverb that I'm actually automating, and then I am EQing everything below like 178. It says out, and clipping it again, adding some more reverb. But the interesting thing about this reverb is you can see we have dry chain and the reverb chain is that the reverb is actually getting ducked super, super hard by the kick. So if we solo just that out, so you can hear that that reverb is like pumping super hard, and I think that helps to just like add to the groove because I don't have the side chain on the whole group pumping that hard. It's not nearly pumping that hard, so I wanted the reverb to do it just to kind of like add to the groove a little bit, just something kind of subtle, you know. But I think when you add all of these together and process them together, that's where the sound actually like comes together. You know what I mean? So that's really the main sound. The only other thing is the sub that I'm using, which is literally just a square wave that I am filtering out a lot of the highs, clipping it again for some reason. I don't usually do this, but I probably wanted some more harmonics to get it a little dirtier and then clear some more of that out. So I could solo that real fast. So it sounds like it could almost be used as like kind of like a dirty, like ignorant kind of 808 also in a different context. But in this context, yeah, just doing those simple, super simple rhythms and just holding down the sub. So let's hop into these really small sounds everywhere. So these are kind of interesting. So our first tiny little sound in here is going to be this kind of reverse reverb. I'm pretty sure this is just the reverb from the synth, and I just reversed it and put it on a new audio track. So that one's really simple. You can hear that here. And let's see right here. Also, we have a cool little sound. This is a Serum preset that I made a while ago called Tearing. And then I just layered it up with this little piece, just that little white noise. And so that sounds like this together. But that's a cool little noise. And I have the sub layering with that as well to give it some weight. Let's see here. What else we got? That does nothing. Don't know why it's in there. Okay. We also have this tiny little tom noise that you'll only notice if you really, really like pay attention. And then in context. Tiny. Let's see. The only other small sounds in here that we have, is this little Aston Martin, which I'm pretty sure I got from a splice pack or something. I just love that. It's just a drive-by, and I love the panning on it. Like, kind of, if you're listening on headphones, kind of takes you out of it for a second. You're just like, wait, what? What just happened? Let's see. Later on, we have this kind of higher thing that comes in, like higher in pitch thing, that kind of takes up the sides space, like, you know, mixing-wise. And that was probably a synth that I flattened and put this this chorus and reverb and stuff on. And so that kind of comes in later just to kind of add to the progression. And then, of course, we have this trusty Reese, which I was actually just using a preset that I made, which I have a YouTube video about. So I will link that in the description if you want to grab this Reese. It's actually a free download. So that's actually what I used for the Reese. Just drew in some MIDI like that. And let's see. The only other synth sounds in here is I used this granulator. I took this MS-20 patch, this MS-20 pattern that I had, threw it into the granulator, and then messed around with that, automated some things, and recorded it onto another track. And that's how I got this breakdown sound. So basically what a granulator does is takes tiny little bits of the audio and plays it around, but you can mess with parameters like it won't just keep taking the same slice of audio. It'll move within a few milliseconds each way. And there's a million different little things you can do. That takes a lot of messing around with. But this is actually a free granulator from Ableton. I think you might need Ableton Suite for it, but definitely check it out. Granulator 2 by Monolake, 100% worth it. But that is it as far as all of the synth noises go in this tune, guys. I really appreciate you checking out the breakdown video. And yeah, if you like the song, definitely go stream it. There'll be a link in the description for that. But I'll see you guys in the next one.